In 1973, Santiago, Chile was a city in turmoil as political riots destabilized the country. The Cold War had reached a fever pitch, with the United States and the Soviet Union using Chile as a battleground. The US government accused President Salvador Allende of being a communist and demanded his removal from office, but his supporters took to the streets in mass demonstrations. Amidst the chaos, tensions rose and violence threatened to engulf the city. Lina, a stewardess, informs that the plane arrives at Santiago, Chile. Meanwhile, a street protest is happening, and Daniel gives out flyers to attendees in support of President Allende. The stewardesses and pilot arrive at the protest scene, and Lina sees her boyfriend Daniel. She gets off and meets Daniel with a kiss, telling him it was her surprise. They go to his apartment and continue making out. Daniel and Lina attend a protest, and Daniel is asked to make a speech up front. Back at the apartment, Daniel develops the pictures he took, and Lina is amazed at how Daniel has a great eye for capturing people during protests. Lina is leaving in 2 days, and Daniel asks her if she can stay. Lina tells him she can't and tells him it's time to go back. In the morning, the phone rings, and they are informed that there is a military coup under Pinochet, and Allende supporters are being arrested. They leave their apartment to flee and find people being arrested by the military. Daniel keeps taking pictures even though Lina tells him not to. While people are being beaten, a military officer catches Daniel taking pictures and chases them. Daniel is beaten, and they are sent to a stadium where they are lined up for identification. A masked man is brought in and informs the military about the activists in the line, including Daniel, a German who makes the posters. He is taken to a bus while Lina is left behind and released. Lina goes back to the apartment and finds it destroyed. In a room, Daniel is tied, blindfolded, and stripped while being tortured by electrocution. Lina goes to the activists' hideout to ask them to help Daniel. The leader tells her that Daniel was taken to Colonia Dignidad, a place where they take Pinochet's prisoners. Lina asks them to help Daniel, but the leader refuses as they need to hide. At Colonia Dignidad, Daniel is still being tortured through electrocution, but is eventually released. Crying, he gets approached by a man, telling him he's now safe. Lina tries to find a way to get to Colonia Dignidad. She is informed that it is a cult-like establishment formed by Paul Schaefer, or Pius, with its own rules and built in the middle of nowhere. Lina wants to get in, but she is warned that she can't back out. Lina insists and proceeds to go to Colonia Dignidad, leaving a note for Raymond, their pilot, that she will not join them. When asked by one of the stewardesses about Lina, Raymond tells them she is sick and will be on the next flight next week. Lina heads to Colonia Dignidad. On her first day at Colonia Dignidad, Lina's belongings are confiscated. She sees a young boy crying but is told to leave him alone. She goes to Pius for confession and joins them. While in the confession room, Pius begins to accuse Lina that Satan is inside her and asks her to renounce Satan and the beast. When asked again why she wants to join them, Lina says she needs them. Pius hugs her and welcomes her. Lina is escorted by Gisela and is informed that men, women, and children live separately. They go to the female dormitory where she will sleep, and she is given a basket of the things she needs, as well as a bandage to cover her breasts. In the evening, Gisela introduces Lina to the other girls. As they mingle, Doro approaches her and reveals that she will be getting married soon. Suddenly, an elderly woman interrupts and orders them to form a line. Gisela then hands out pills to everyone. Curious, Lina asks about the pills but is simply instructed to swallow them. Doro chuckles beside her. The morning of Lina's second day begins with all the girls lining up to work in the fields. Meanwhile, Daniel is in the hospital, beaten, and undergoing a medical checkup. The doctor informs him there could be permanent brain damage due to the electrocution he suffered. In Colonia Dignidad, the women are assigned to harvest potatoes. Lina, exhausted from work, collapses, but Gisela whips her as punishment. Desperately thirsty, Lena requests a drink and she is given a bucket of water. However, the old lady warns Lena that if even a single drop is wasted, she will face punishment. At the hospital, a mentally unstable man enters Daniel's room, but he is quickly escorted outside. During the night, Lena weeps. On her 9th day, all the women are called to gather in the women's hall. Lena approaches Doro and asks how she met her fiancé. Doro explains that she met Dito 2 years ago during a mixed parade when important guests visit, and they sing and celebrate together. Lena asks when Doro sees him again, and she replies that they haven't met since that day, as there have been no more mixed parades. In a mass, the men gather around a coffin while Pius preaches. In another room, the women listen to the sermon through a speaker. Pius proclaims that the deceased man, Alfred, should rise from the dead, and the men and women agree. However, the dead man doesn't come back to life, and they attribute this to the sin in the community. On day 37, the doctor takes Daniel to a smith shop, where she introduces him as Hans, and he appears to be mentally disabled. Ben, who works at the shop, is asked to give Daniel a simple job to do. Meanwhile, the girls continue to harvest corn in the fields, and Daniel works at the shop. During their work, Gisela asks Lena if Doro told her about her fiancé, Dito. Lena says no, but eventually tells Gisela his name. As it turns out, Daniel is only pretending to be mentally disabled, and when he is alone, he frantically searches for a way to escape. He comes across a room full of photographs, but before he can investigate further, Ben catches him. Daniel quickly pretends that he just needs to use the restroom, and Ben escorts him out of the room. Gisela enters the female dormitory and retrieves Doro. Lena becomes curious and sees Doro standing in front of the men with Pius. He summons Dito and proceeds to slap Doro hard, claiming to rid their community of the stink while the men cheer. Pius shouts and accuses Doro of being the work of the devil, leaving Dito and Doro in tears. All the men proceed to violate Doro while Dito watches helplessly. Lena witnesses everything from the window and spots Daniel in the crowd. A man notices her, and Lena quickly runs back to the dormitory. Pius follows her but fails to catch Lena. Instead, he forcefully slaps and kicks Gisela. On day 38, Gisela announces that Doro is ill and shows bruises on her face. Lena asks Ursula about what happened last night, and Ursula tells her it was a men's gathering. Meanwhile, at the shop, Daniel steals a flashlight while Lena continues to work in the fields. Lena goes to the river to skinny dip, unknowingly becoming the center of attention at the men's gathering. Pius insults Lena while the men cheer him on. As Daniel escapes, Pius slaps Lena hard as an act of cleansing. The men approach Lena to slap her too, but a cord cut loose by Daniel signals his escape. The men search for Daniel and eventually find him lying down. On day 130, boys are shown singing in Pius' bathroom. Pius then asks 3 boys to take a shower while he enters afterward. It is the day of the mixed parade, and the women are dressed in their Sunday best and given instructions on how to behave by Gisela. At the parade, Lena and Daniel see each other again, and she tells him to meet her at the potato shed later that night. Meanwhile, Pius makes a speech, and the military asks for guns and poison gas, which they want to test on humans. Later, at the potato shed, Lena peels potatoes while waiting for Daniel. He shows up, and they reunite. Daniel explains to Lena how the cult operates, and he shows her an underground tunnel where he was once tortured. On day 131, Lena is called to see Pius, who asks her to spy on Ursula. Lena speaks with Ursula and discovers that she is Gisla's daughter. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Daniel is examined as the person who will be tested for the poisoned gas. Ursula finds the cross on Daniel's belongings that once belonged to Lena and, upon opening it, discovers a picture of Lena and Daniel kissing. In the evening, Daniel reveals to Lena the existence of secret tunnels that connect the rooms in the colony. They need to leave that same night as Daniel is scheduled for the poison gas test the following day. Daniel gives Lena pictures of the tunnels and the torture room as evidence of the colony's wrongdoing. Lena becomes angry, blaming the photos for their current situation. Gisela enters and brings Ursula to help peel potatoes. Lena discovers that Ursula knows about her and Daniel's relationship. Ursula reveals that she is pregnant and fears Pius will kill her and the baby. While Gisela questions Lena about the pictures, Daniel appears and tells them that he found the picture in the dark room at the shop. They discover more photos and accuse Ben of taking them. Lena, Daniel, and Ursula escape through the shed and into the tunnels. While fleeing, they come across a trap, and Ursula trips and dies. Lena and Daniel continue to run and eventually reach the highway, where they are stopped by a car and taken to the German embassy. On day 132, they arrive at the embassy and are taken to a safe place. Lena informs them about the colony's activities, and they provide her with a plane ticket back to Germany. She tells them she can't leave Daniel behind and that they need to save him. At the airport, Lena and Daniel are surprised to find themselves being led to a different room instead of boarding the plane. Lena senses that something was off, but the ambassador assures them that they are just being taken through a secret tunnel to avoid being followed by the cult. However, as they wait in the room, Lena sees Pius and the German ambassador talking together, and she realizes they had been betrayed. Desperate to escape, Lena decides to retrieve the photos they had left in their room. She quickly makes her way back, but encounters Raymond, who informs her that the flight had been cancelled. With no other options, Lena and Daniel returns to the room, where they find their photos and begin to plan their next move. As they strategize, they hear a noise outside the door and realize that the Colonia had found them. With no time to lose, they climb out the window and onto the roof. Lena and Daniel manage to make their way to the edge of the roof, where they jump onto a nearby building. They continue to run and eventually find themselves at the German embassy again. As Pius opens the door, they discover that both Lena and Daniel have escaped. They run for their lives with Pius in pursuit, but the pilot sees them and opens the doors so they can board the plane. Lena and Daniel make it onto the plane safely, but Pius demands that the plane not leave. The tower informs the pilot that the flight is cancelled, but Lena insists on leaving. Raymond follows her lead, and they fly out of Chile. It is revealed that Colonia Dignidad was a torture prison for the Chilean secret police. Over the course of almost 40 years, only 5 members have managed to escape. The smuggled photographs are published internationally, causing a major scandal. In 2004, Paul was finally arrested in Argentina following the Pinochet regime. However, Pinochet and the German embassy are not held accountable for collaborating with Paul. Paul was sentenced to 33 years in prison and died in 2010 in Santiago. This story is dedicated to the memory of the victims of Colonia Dignidad.
Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like. It really helps the channel.